I want you to imagine that you're one of the best brain surgeons in the world. And suddenly one day, you get dispatched to the hospital because an entire family's dead, one kid is in the ER, he's got a bullet in his head, the other kid is traumatized, and their parents are both brutally killed. You have a decision to make. You either save this kid, or you're called by the higher-ups to save a more important, wealthy person of notoriety. Your job may be on the line if you reject that, just to take the case of this nobody who's about to die. What would you do in this situation? Well, the protagonist of this story is a character named Dr. Tenma, the best neurosurgeon in his entire hospital, who's faced with this decision. And instead of saving the more important, wealthy person that he's told to by his own boss, he decides to save the kid, even if it costs him his marriage with his fiancée, who's the daughter of his boss, and it demotes him, pretty much destroys his life. At least he saves the kid, who ends up disappearing at some point. He builds himself back up. And 10 years later, he's confronted by that same kid, who is now grown up and is apparently the fucking Antichrist. That's the story of Naoki Uruzawa's Monster, based on a manga, which I have not read. It starts off with this biblical verse about the beast. I saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon the heads the name of blasphemy. You all know the quote. Well, this all goes to predate a specific character, Johan. A character who looks like a very angelic, kind, and smart man on the outside. Blonde hair, beautiful blue eyes, very a debonair, good-looking man. But on the inside, he's something else entirely. He's a serial killer, a psychopath, a nihilist of the highest order, and pretty much is the closest to the manifestation of pure evil that fiction has probably ever showed us in a grounded story. This brother can make you off yourself, or massacre and shoot up an entire school just by talking to you. And no, this isn't supernatural. He has no fucking powers. He doesn't need them. This is all psychology, communication, speaking ability. That's what he is, the master of. This brother's probably the scariest villain. Maybe, I don't want to say in all fiction, but so far, out of anime, he's the scariest villain there. The only one that comes close to him in fiction is like Judge Holden, who is probably still the scariest to me because that dude takes darkness and nihilism to another level. That dude is a ditty, molests kids, kills, brutalizes, maims. He has done a lot more brutal things in his lifespan. With Johan, it's not about brutality or sexual deviancy or anything like that, no. He doesn't diddy up kids, alright? He's not a rapist, he's not anything like that. With him, it's how scary his fundamental philosophy is. Nihilism, ephilism, if I'm pronouncing that. Nihilism, human beings and their lives have no inherent value. Nothing we do fucking matters. It's all an empty void. We are on a little husk of rock. That's like a very small little pinpoint in the universe, okay? Ephilism, sentient life should end and be extinct. That's the fucking ideology that we're dealing with this dude, who happens to have the charisma of a cult leader, a prophet, I don't know, whatever you want to say. Imagine your favorite celebrity, the most liked celebrity of your lifetime. He has that level of charisma times 10. Happens to be a psychopathic nihilist who doesn't care if you live or die. So as an opposite to him, as the foil to him, you have Dr. Tenma, the man who saved him 10 years back, who chose to save him because he didn't believe that the life of that famous dude, the rich dude that the higher-ups wanted him to save, he didn't believe that life was inherently worth more than this random kid's. All right? He wanted to balance the scales. He believes that life has worth, no matter what it is. He's the polar opposite of Johan. You could say it's like a Joker and Batman relationship. One is more chaotic and nihilistic than the other. But Tenma and Johan go far deeper in my opinion, man. To understand Johan, you need to figure out what his origin is. And I don't want to get into too many details about this. And spoiler warning, it's a whole puzzle. Johan as a kid was part of this East German eugenics program at 511 Kinderheim, this place where orphans were taken and psychologically conditioned to become emotionless, manipulative super soldiers. Basically, the Germans would have the most perfect people they could find of the highest status, hook up, have babies, and then form those babies into the perfect soldiers. And Johan emerged as the ultimate product, driven to sow chaos and emptiness in the world. They wanted people who can literally destroy and manipulate infrastructures from within. Johan embodies the experiment's success. He's a charismatic figure who can pretty much manipulate anyone to join him into a cult following. And now he seeks to spread his nihilism outwards. This brother single-handedly caused the massacre of 501 Kinderheim, just sitting back and manipulating all these fools into offing each other, while he could just chill, plan his escape with his sister. But after the events of this experimentation and all that went down, it scrambled his memories through trauma, built in a horrid philosophy based on nihilism. Okay? Him and his sister, after escaping, were half-starved and on the run before they were found, and then they were put with foster parents. The only issue is Johan proceeded to murder those foster parents, and then told his sister, gave his sister the gun and said, "Shoot me, Anna, shoot me." And that's how we end up at the beginning of our story, where Dr. Tenma has to save him from a bullet hole that's in his head. And this guy would become a monster. Now, some could ask, why did he ask his sister to shoot him after offing their parents? Was he guilty about what happened to his parents? Was he testing her emotionally? Will my sister kill me? Does she really love me? Did he want to die? Was he wanting to off himself? Was he protecting her somehow? Was he setting her up? You know what? The answer could be yes to all of that. That's the kind of character Johan is. He's a very, very complex character who doesn't give a fuck if he lives or dies. Gotta ask yourself now. Okay, now Johan's a serial killer now, murdering people, poisoning them, planning multiple mass killings. What does Johan want? Is he just a crazy person? Is he a nut job? There's something way deeper and complicated about Johan. He's very hard to logically pin down. A lot of his plans don't follow a single line of logic. He has a very complex, nihilistic worldview stemming from what is immediately relevant to us as a lack of self-worth. He doesn't believe his life has any inherent meaning, whether that be from something that happened in his origin, which we'll get to, and he doesn't believe humans in general will have an inherent form of self-worth. This is perfectly showcased when this Nazi party, like a fascist, really, really want Johan to be their representative and leader that can basically be the new Aryan king for the new Third Reich or whatever. They really want him to be their leader. Johan doesn't give a fuck about any of that. He doesn't care about race issues. He doesn't care about, the Nazis or anything like that. He doesn't care about upending any colored people. His motivations go far beyond that, and I love that. I love it when characters don't give a fuck about any of that nonsense. They're about something else, something far deeper. Johan's obsessed with this notion of nothingness, non-existence. A prostitute points a gun at him and he says, "How do you kill someone that doesn't exist?" And he literally does not fear a gun being put to his head at all. His goal fundamentally changes throughout the show. In the first half of the show, it's very different than what's in the second half, because him as a character takes on an arc. In the beginning, as kids, they wanted to escape the people basically tormenting them. Franz Bonaparte, the man who's starting all these experiments, trying to get them into this eugenics program, right? He's trying to hide from him, so he's trying to purge any record of their existence and any trace of them. So he starts killing foster parents, starts killing anyone who knows them, that comes across from them, and that's why they have to go on the run, and so many people are dying as a result of it, because Johan's trying to cover their tracks. But after the Kinderheim events, as an adult, his main goal becomes, I want to be the last man alive at the end of the world. This is the ultimate state of emptiness and nihilism in the world. Everyone else will die, the human race will be extinct, and I want to be the last one there. I want to be in the pure void of emptiness before I die. I want to be the last man alive at the end of the world. And his plan to do this would be strategically leveraging himself in the right places. As a 14-year-old, he started a huge money laundering scheme that he himself sabotaged and left, creating a vacuum and disrupting the criminal underworld. That's the type of shit this guy does. He likes to disrupt things so he can destroy everything from the inside out. He positions himself into the life of this business tycoon named Schuwald, basically seating himself as the heir apparent of his empire so that he can take control of it and cause a lot of disruptions within the European economy, destroying it and causing a fucking war. A path to the end of the world. But then his plans change, because while he's en route to doing that, he reads this book called The Nameless Monster, which is a children's book written by the dude who started those experiments that he was in. A book that on a meta level mimics Johan's journey of becoming a monster, of swallowing a monster whole, of having the monster inside you grow and grow and grow. So when he sees this, it's almost like the trauma kicks in, and all those memories that were suppressed come flooding out. And after he realizes the truth about his origin, his plan changes. He burns everything down and starts a new plan from scratch. I can't say the word because I'll be demonetized, but he basically wants to create the perfect suicide. He wants to off himself in the most perfect, pure way possible, leaving no trace of his existence. Anyone who knows about him, anyone who knew him, will die, and then he will die. No one shall remember him except for one, the person who kills him, which is the man who saved him so many years back, Tenma. This is arguably his most evil act, because first of all, by destroying everyone who ever knew of your existence, you kill all trace of you. And the one person that you allow to outlive you, that's the person who has a fundamental philosophy that opposes you. Tenma believes all lives are equal and worth saving. Johan says no. The only thing we're equal in is fucking death. And now it's been proven. I'm going to force you to kill me. You're going to point a gun to my head and you're going to off me so that your entire philosophy can be proven wrong. Very Joker-esque. He goes so far as to fucking point a gun at a kid to force Tenma to do it too. Now ultimately his plan doesn't work because he ends up getting shot by a random drunk dude. So his entire plan that's perfectly thought out is kind of disrupted by this last minute thing that comes out of nowhere. But Tenma stays strong and true to his philosophy by not killing a single person in the entire show. And at the end, we're left wondering, did the events of this change Johan? Is Johan still the same psychopath he is? Is he alive? Is he dead? We don't know. And to be honest, I love the idea that we don't know, that we just have an idea of what might have happened. But the show does leave you with an idea of where Johan has been coming from this entire time, and where his lack of self-worth that started all this came from. Because you could say it started when his sister decided to shoot him, and that set forth his nihilistic tendencies. It started when he was experimented on at 501 Kinderheim. But it probably started off with his mom, who, in a neglectful act, gave away one of the kids to be experimented on, not knowing who was who, because both were dressed and looked the same, you know? So you could say that this kind of destroyed Johan's self-worth early on, because the idea of not knowing whether his mom knew which kid was who and just decided to give the kid away, and Johan not knowing who the mom really wanted to give away, that can do something to you as a kid, man. Now let's get to his worst acts. First of all, he single-handedly caused the entire massacre of kids and adults at 501 Kinderheim, that place where all these kids were experimented on. This alcoholic detective, basically Johan tempted him to the bottle on a rooftop and basically talked him into jumping off a fucking building roof. He almost talked his sister into offing herself too, unearthing traumatic memories that she forgot and basically making her so depressed and traumatized that she would off herself. He loves doing this to people, man. He also cross-dressed as his sister to fool everyone in the specific town, to manipulate a specific detective and almost kind of seduce him without doing anything. Kind of fucking with the sister as well, in some ways, by doing this. And then there's a scene where he takes off his wig and his dress and everything, and he just smiles in the mirror in this psychotic way. This is the most sadistic his facial expression has ever been in the show. Then he has an entire town massacred, basically manipulating all of them to massacre each other, to get back at the man named Franz Bonaparte who started the experiments, as kind of his own act of revenge. Destroying his home, his peaceful home. But his worst act, the darkest act that Johan has ever done, this is so fucked up, man. Basically dressed up as his sister, this beautiful woman, he talks to this little kid, right?
And FYI, the kid wants to find his mother and be loved. That is a single thing that's keeping this kid, this child, going.
I don't even know how to say this. Johan basically, he uses children. He doesn't hurt them, he doesn't molest them or kill them, he uses them. Either manipulates them with his own philosophy or uses them as shields. He has a discussion with this kid and convinces the kid that your mom doesn't give a fuck about you. Your birth means nothing. Your name means nothing. Your life is insignificant. And if you don't believe me, go to the red light district where your mother works and go there and see if any woman there will claim you. See if any woman there, see if your mom will come out and hug you and say she loves you and claim you as her son. See if that happens. Basically, Johan sends this kid to the red light district to get traumatized. To be bombarded by all these hookers and prostitutes who don't give a fuck about him, who scream at him and all this. And then he sees his mom getting fucking piped, I think, in this alleyway too. And it makes him so depressed that he almost offs himself. He's ultimately saved from his death, but yeah, that's what Johan does, man. He doesn't diddy up people, he doesn't do any of that shit, but he will convince a kid to off himself for the fuck of it. For the love of the game, man. I think this character cannot be adapted into a live action format, and they've tried in the past, but there's only so much Hollywood can do. It's not the same situation as Judge Holden, okay? Because Judge Holden is the most fucked up character I think I've ever seen. His acts are terrible, right? With Johan, it's like the disturbing philosophy. It's very hard for writers to get into this mindset and be able to promote this and sell it to producers, because this deals with kids and suicide, right? Like these are disturbing things, man. Guillermo del Toro almost apparently directed and produced a live action show for the monster, which would have been interesting to see how that would have worked out, but it just didn't pan out. There have been a lot of fan castings. People like Ava, Tenma's former wife who left him and now comes back to have an integral role in the show. This would be cool casting, okay? The people have wanted to cast Tenma as this guy. This would have been good. Ella Fanning as Anna. I think the Saoirse Ronan chick would be much better. People have asked for several people to play Johan. This is the most important part. If you're going to adapt Johan in any regard, you need someone very specific to play him, okay? I think that the dude who played Henry Creel, or Vecna's human form in Stranger Things, would be perfect. Because this dude can play a psychopath weirdo who can be very nice and gentlemanly before he shows his true form. He looks like Johan is supposed to too. He has the acting range that is needed as well. He has the look. of a psychopath that can appear as the best gentleman you've ever seen, with the craziest charisma you've ever seen. I think this guy would be perfect to play a live-action Johan. That's just my 2 cents. Monster as a show, to me, is a slow burn that might be disappointing and underwhelming on first watch. It was for me at the end, because I wanted the ending to be something with... I needed a bit more. Something maybe a final event with larger scale. But to be honest, I've come to appreciate this as I've thought about it, because it's one of those endings that leaves you really thinking, man. First of all, this lives and dies on Johan, because Johan does not have a lot of screen time in the show. He appears in bursts, in short bursts, until the very end, right? And he has infinite aura when he's on screen. The most aura of any villain, almost. But he's not around for a lot. And most of the episodes are characters trying to find him, and you have multiple different characters in multiple different episodes that you're focusing on, and it is a very slow burn, and it was hard to get through for me. I think the first half of the show I was able to get through a lot faster than the second half, when there's a lot of shit happening. But the last 2 episodes are great. Ultimately, my favorite anime villain, I don't know if Castlevania counts as an anime, I don't know if it's Japanese or whatever, but Vlad has always been my favorite anime villain. Okay? I love Vlad. Also Merrick from Yu-Gi-Oh! If Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't think that counts as an anime either, but still. Vlad has always been my boy, and Griffith has always been also one of my other favorite villains. I think Johan, low-key, is better than both. As a villain for his story. As what he represents as a foil to the protagonist, Tenma. I think he works much better. To be honest, I thought Griffith was great, and I think Vlad's my boy. He's my brother, all right? But Johan's a different animal, man. This is the kind of show that will leave you thinking about it, wanting a lot more, but ultimately you'll come to appreciate it as you learn to connect the dots on certain things that the writers set up. It's one of those shows, right? If you haven't seen the Monster anime, I would recommend it, and Johan's one of the craziest villains I've ever seen, man. Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are on a mission to take over Hollywood. But the army must keep growing. If you want to suggest video topics to me, or talk about your favorite movies or favorite film theories in a community with like-minded individuals, join the Zafy Discord now. Link is in the description and the comment section as well. Join us. This movement is just beginning. We're taking over Hollywood, one coke line at a time.